Hi everybody, Nikki from Gracie's house here. I am here, promise. Hi. As I said, I'm Nikki from Gracie's house. I'm here with you guys on the Instagram Redesign with Prima page, or should I say profile, and I'm on the Redesign with Prima page on Facebook. As you come on, say hello if you can. I should be able to see the cameras, I should be able to see comments, so I will do my best to double check as I go along. So I'm going to be working on a piece using Sunflower Farms. Love, love, love this transfer. It's got real autumn sort of harvest festival type vibes and colours. So we're a little bit out of sync with the seasons. Hi Sharon. So yeah, we're a little bit out of sync for the seasons, but I thought this piece would be a really, really good place to start. Lovely jubbly furniture, hello, and Lene's paintbrush, hello. So what I tend to do is, obviously I love adding transfers, but there are the odd pieces in the UK that tend to suit a one colour finish and be quite plain. So that's what I had originally done to this piece. So this is a dresser, small size dresser with a top. So you guys in America, I think they're hutches for you. Little birdies at Antiques, hi there. So this has been sat in my stock for a while. It's had a few bits of interest, but it's sat. So it then gets the transfer added. I mean, shock horror. And the dresses that I tend to do that I go ahead and add a transfer to, they seem to do really well. So I give it a chance as a plain one colour finish first, and then we'll add the transfer on. And it's always interesting to see how quickly it sells because, hi Francie, it does tend to sell quicker. In addition to that, I know this isn't one of the new transfers, but you can see how much detail and ridges and things we have to work with on this. Let me just move you a little bit on Instagram so you can see a bit more. So you can see exactly how much, there's a lot of ridges. We've got the door, we've got ridges in the posts down the side. There's all sorts going on here. I've just seen a hello, but I missed it. It was so quick on Instagram. Miri? Oh, I hope I'm getting names right. So yeah, you can see there's lots and lots of detail. We are not always graced with a beautifully flush fronted piece of furniture to add a transfer to. So it's really about how there's different ways to do it. You can measure it. This is how I approach something when there is so much going on. I'm going to crack on. So I have one of these fabulous craft knives that's available from Redesign with Prima retailers. So it's really cool actually, very, very sharp. It twists off here. So I think that's how you I've never had to change the blade yet. That's how you change the blade. But also, you store the separate blades in here. It's not unscrewing now. Why isn't, there we go. So there's spare blades in there. Cute, eh? So this is something that's new to me. We've not had this very long, but it's really sharp. So we're going to get to use this. So we've got a cupboard door to work on. We've got panels within the cupboard door. We've got ridges within there. We've got a ridge going down here. My first point that I'm going to start on is to cut around the bottom of the door, and then we can work on that section. So Lisa, I know these are cute. Really, really cool. Hi Lisa, by the way. So I'm going to cut along the bottom of my door, and I find it much easier to work on pieces like this when I work in sections. So rather than trying to look at the whole piece and go, oh my God, where am I going to start? Pick a section and work in sections. I find that the easiest way to do. So I'm just going to look at where that door is. I'm going to slide my knife down into the gap where the gap in the door is, and I'm going to cut that along those edges. And I'm going to go all the way along there. And it gives me a relatively straight line, and it will end where that gap ends, and the vertical post, I suppose. So I'm just also going to be concentrating on making sure I'm not missing anything on my comments as well. So we have, that's separate from there now. So that works. I've got some tape in case I need to hold extra pieces down as I go along. But when I say that, I'm literally just doing that so that these two pieces are held down, because we don't want them wobbling anywhere. Okay, so that's my section there. I'm going to then work and find that upright, and then I've got a hinge to go through as well. Donna, good morning. Oh, it's pretty, isn't it? I love this. This colour in the background is Wharf, which is a Dixie Belle colour from the Silk range. But it's very, very close match to anyone that's used Fusion Sacred Sage. Very, very, very similar. So I'm just going round the hinge. And it's some of this is, you've just got to feel your way. So I can feel the end is there. And it is a little sort of delicate operation, really. But there we go. So I've cut round the hinge. And then I'm going to carry on. I'm going to find that gap again, which is where the door is. And I'm going to keep going up there. I'm going to stop because I've got that little extra piece. So we have pretty much, let's just go there. We've pretty much got a separate piece. I'm going to cut around this side of the hinge. So you see how I'm walking in sections, working in sections, walking. Crikey. It's really hectic in our house this week because we're having some landscaping done and having a new patio put down. And we've had all sorts of rain and stuff. But they're getting on really well with it, but it just, it just changes whatever's going on in the house. And they do like a cup of tea. So where I'm normally sort of in my workshop, minding my own business and getting on with things, I'm having to run down and make them tea all the time. Okay, so we have our little hinge cut out. Okay, so that'll help that sit nice and flat. You don't really want to put your transfer onto the hinge because as the door opens, that's going to mess with it and scrape it. So I'll cut around there. And the next thing I want to do, don't need to worry about here, is this panel. So we've got this inset here, like this. I've got another one of those here. So I need to find my edge for that. And I want to cut around that as well, similarly that we've done on the door. It's a bit trickier because there's no obvious, I am kind of feeling my way a little bit. Trying to anyway. And I'll follow a straight line. There we go, I think that's okay. And don't forget that because this is a transfer, even if you did cut a little bit longer than say that you wanted to, it's not going to affect, you can still continue and stick it down. Francie, that's not an issue we usually have here in the US. Contractors bring their own drinks. Oh, I mean, they bring like bottles of water, but tea, like warm drinks. Yeah, and they bring their own food. I haven't had to feed them, but they've liked their tea and coffee for sure. Okay, and I'm just trying to feel all my edges. So it's a sort of, it's a slowish job. There we go, I found that edge there. And I just need to get my knife in there. There we go. So you are feeling your way. It is slowish work and patient work, as is most things when it comes to transfers, I find. That doesn't want to, my knife's stuck. There we go. What's it stuck on? It's stuck on something there. Let's come out a little bit, there we go. There's not that much pattern left there. So what I'm wanting to do, you see, is I'm not going to have it on these inside edges. So if I can show you here, I'm not going to have it there on that lip, because then ultimately you're always going to have a piece that's missing. So I want to have that sitting nice and flush into my inset, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. actually what we've got there is just a little bit of flower. That piece there doesn't matter because it's not joining anything else. So I'm going to leave that. And I think that might be our first section to get stuck down as well. So let's just cut that little piece there. So it is, you have to sort of plan ahead on these kind of projects. I'm just cutting that piece off of there. So we have our first inset panel cut, you see? Okay, so I'm going to get that piece stuck in first. That's going to sit quite nicely in there. I'm taking my little stick because that's the tool I've chosen today. I don't need the bigger tool, it's quite fiddly. I don't think I'm going to need the bigger tool, I say that, but it's quite handy when it comes to ridges, so I might grab it in a sec. So this piece has been painted months ago. I've not done anything else to it. I didn't have to top coat it because it's from the silk range, which is a built-in top coat. So I haven't had to do anything. Valerie, hello. You understand cutting around the door, but why am I cutting along the details of the door? Because there's so many ridges on this particular one, I'm cutting here because if I've got transfer on 3 sides or even 4 sides, if you had that much covered, somewhere it's not going to meet. So it's going to pull, it would pull everything over. I hope that makes sense. So if you've got a transfer running all the way along here, but you've got 3 extra pieces that you would need to cover, it won't fit. So this is why I'm cutting this panel into this panel. Does that help, Valerie? I hope that makes sense to what I'm saying. To answer your question, should I say? If you've got any questions like Valerie's just had, please pop them in the comments. If I don't catch them while I'm working, I will go back and comment. Instagrammers, I'll need to try and catch them as you come along because the comments don't stay with the video once we post it to IGTV, unfortunately. Excellent. Hey, Redesign with Prima. Roz, is that you? Okay. Every time I use a transfer that I use, I just fall in love with, every time I use like a new one, I fall in love. Every time I use one I've used before, I like fall in love with it all over again. I just love the designs. Okay, so we've got our first panel done. And you see how, because we've worked it like this, you can do it in those sections and it can help feel less daunting. Okay. And the reason I've used that bit continued on there is because it wasn't joined to anything. So again, the reason I've not done these parts is so that we haven't got to jiggle and shift here. But the reason I've done that one is because it's not joined to anything. Donna, our queen. Funny. Okay, so I'm going to lift up, I'm just going to detach that piece because we don't need to have that stuck for a minute. I'm going to lift up the door section and we can do that. Luckily, we have a nice-ish, flattish piece here to work with. Okay, so just get on my knees to line this up. Line this back up, should I say. Okay, so we've got the nice notch for our hinge that's sat there. Okay, I'm just going to press that down. Now we have got some grooves, and To be honest, I'm going to actually do some distressing on the paintwork of this. So I'm quite happy. Donna, is Wharf more blue or green? Now that is an interesting question, because in my opinion, Wharf, as I said, very similar to Sacred Sage from Fusion, it's like a chameleon colour. So it depends what you put it with. I've done a piece and it looked really, really blue. I've also done this, which today is looking quite green, and because it's got kind of autumnal colours sitting back on it, I think this piece is looking quite green. So, Ros, you use Fusion, and Sacred Sage is really similar to this. What colour do you feel that leans more towards? Is it blue or green? I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably say more green for both of those colours. But like I said, you can put it next to you're holding your phone up in your rooms. Yeah, you need to get a swatch and then look at it in different lights, because it really is, it does play trickery with different coloured lighting as well. So get yourself a tester or a swatch, or sample stick or something from somebody if you can. Definitely more green. Yeah, I think it is. And Lloyd Thomas Furniture, do you need to top coat the transfer? Yes, you do indeed. So we recommend water-based varnish type top coats. You can use wax. There is a list if you go on the Facebook, the Redesign with Prima Facebook group. There's a file section that has a list of all our recommended top coats to use. The one thing we really specifically say avoid is Gator Hide by Dixie Belle, because it will just mess with your transfer. Highly likely it will make it raise up, crack, peel off. All those things you don't want to happen. If Dixie Belle Gator Hide is your go-to, then use a satin or a flat top coat first. Others have had success doing a couple of coats of that first, and then Gator Hide. Okay, so I'm just using my finger to go around that curve of the bottom of the door and the edges of the door, but working along this next section. I'm loving the colour of this the colours of the transfer against the Wharf. It looks really, really perfect colour. Very, like I said, very sort of autumnal. I've done it completely the wrong end of the year. Whoops. Your silk paint card Wharf swatch is grey. Really? Yeah, you see, it's, yeah, like I said, chameleon. Because I think this has definitely got green tint in it. Okay, so like I said, we've got some grooves here. I'm just pressing in with my tool. I'm going to do the same here. I don't mind if this isn't particularly perfect, because I'm going to do some distressing on my woodwork, my paintwork. So I'm quite happy for it to not be absolutely bang on perfect. But having said that, it's going on really nicely, and it's going into those grooves nicely. So you see where I've put the bit in the inset panel, and we've put the bit right up to the edge. It works really well. You'll get some. It's not for me. It's it's for you, not a project. Okay. Do you know, whatever colour you see, Wharf is a lovely colour. It's just lovely. And same, Sacred Sage was always quite a favourite for me as well. So I'm pushing into that groove there. And you see how we just work along. I'm working in sections. So we did that piece, we've done that. I'm working along. Just checking we've not got any comments. Done that one. Don't use Dixie Belle Clear Coat. No, Esther, you can use Clear Coat. It's the Gator. Oh, look, that Ros has already got that. Donna, cutting through the sections is really helps for me. You can measure it, and you know, you could measure it and cut it. I just find for me this is the way that works best. So I'm not saying that this is the way you have to do it, but it really works well for me. So it's an option. I need to get my cloth and do a bit of burnishing when we've done this section. Just go into that groove there. So these, I mean, these are so, they couldn't be much more the opposite of flat, these panels, these doors. So much detail in them. But actually it's coming out nice. I love it. Diane, it is a beautiful transfer, this one. Definitely one you should have in your stash, for sure. It's great to add to signs, you know, if you do that. Have I got it here? No, I think it's in storage now. You know, that kind of harvest festival, Thanksgiving-y type signs. I've got one that says thankful, grateful, blessed or something. And I've put some of this on it and it looks gorgeous. Okay, so I'm just wrapping around the door there. Where is my clipper? It's not particularly clean, but there's some clean spots on it. So I'm just going to go over with my cloth to burnish. I'm just going to make sure that there's no bits that are sat, that aren't stuck to a surface, because that's when you've got air stuck in, that's when you can lead to things lifting. So I'm just pushing down in all those grooves. I use a cloth just so that it smooths it more. I'm just checking, making sure I'm catching everything. So yeah, I just use I use a cloth because it just is smoother and tends not to catch anything. There we go, lovely. And then I use that to do the burnishing as well. So we do recommend this burnishing to minimise the halo, and it really does work, guys. And then once you've added your top coat, you'll hardly see it at all. Just do that panel. Okay, so do you see how we've worked along, and you know, there's big designs within this transfer, but how we've worked along to work into the grooves and work in sections so it's more manageable. Let me see, I'm going to take those two pieces off. They're just little extras. And that piece as well, same. And we're going to do this section next, this bigger, longer section. So this one wraps around the bottom. This one is, let me get the tube so you can see, it's called Sunflower Farms. Great admirer, oh thank you. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna get on my knees so I can line this up. Again, I've got my little notch to work with from the hinge. And I've got the bottom of the unit here to work with as well, which is nice and helpful. I'll just pop that down. Oh, I love this transfer on this colour. It's one of those, why didn't I do it sooner moments I'm feeling. So what's everybody been up to today? You're not, those of you that are watching UK side, It's kind of getting towards the end of the afternoon. You've probably done your school run if you're a school run mummy. And those of you in America, it's kind of, what is it? Tea break time, coffee break time. Jane, you've just hopped on. What is the paint colour? This is Wharf, which is from the Dixie Belle. It's the all-in-one silk mineral paint. But it's also very, very, very similar to Sacred Sage by Fusion. I'd say it's a very, very good match. But it does complement this transfer beautifully, I have to say. I'm just going to pull that tape off. If you're wondering what that buzzing noise in the background, my husband's put the drone up to take, we're doing a before and after of the patio work. So he's got the drone up, photographing what's been done so far. My daughter's also singing in the background. Donna, early tea just before lunch, lovely. It's always coffee time. Amber, do you know what? I think my landscape gardeners would definitely agree with you there. I never have to bother asking them if it's tea time. As long as the kettle's on, they will stop and have a cup for sure. Amber. Yes, yeah, he's got gadgets, droney type gadgets and all sorts. So he does drone photography and some video and promotional stuff. So he has all sorts of trinky gadgets. Hi from Teesside. You've just dodged all the rain and hail, and now you're watching from your craft room. Lovely. Oh, how lovely, a craft room. We had hail yesterday. I think we're done with that now. Tomorrow's supposed to be the start of the nice weather, which, considering we're nearly at the end of May, is a bit depressing that we're only just getting it now. But that's UK for you. So there's quite deep grooves in this section. So again, I'm just plodding through it all. Push really hard down into those. There we go. Get a really good rub through on there. Same there. Another one there. Oh, they're really deep grooves. And I've got a little section there that's got all sorts of grooves going on just for that tiny piece. But I think we're okay. Francie, you've 5 projects lined up. Wow. Awesome. Just making sure there's a little bit there that's not quite stuck down. There we go. A bit in that groove. I'm just going to be able to peel it back. And always just peel it back slowly. I can see where it's released well and places where I just have to be a bit more careful. Do it slowly and then you won't have any mishaps, hopefully. And I'll go over with my cloth afterwards as well. But it's coming off nicely. So there we go, we've got that bottom section done now as well. I'm just going to get my cloth. Laurie, hello. Amber, did I make this piece? No. Oh no, this is a company called Urkel, which is over here in the UK. It's quite a well-known furniture brand. But it's got quite sort of cottagey proportions. It's quite a neat, small little piece for a dresser. Cottage size. If you have a small old cottage, it would fit nicely. It's quite narrow. So I'm just running my cloth down those deeper grooves to make sure there's contact all the way along, and burnish while I'm there as well. So So it's cracking ever so slightly when I push down into that deep groove, but like I said, I don't mind because I'm going to do some distressing. I think it will suit this sort of autumnal look. Just a little bit, nothing too crazy, just a bit of sympathetic distressing. And who knows, I might bust some decor wax out too. I haven't decided that entirely. Right, could you hear that? As I went over there, I can feel a little air bubble. So I'm just going to take my knife, and because it's super, super sharp, I just have to pop a little hole in that bubble. There's another little one there. And then push it down. Don't drag it before you've stuck it down, because there's no contact and it's not stuck, you could drag the transfer across. But just a little dot. And I can't hear that noise anymore. So we've solved that one. I'm going to keep going. What are we doing? Okay. Oh, sorry, making the camera jiggle all over the place. Laurie, you love the colour of the transfers. I know, isn't it? And isn't it lovely how tonal? Really, really, really pleased with this combination. As soon as I decided I was going to add transfers to this to spice it up a bit, I kind of did. I knew that this was going to be the one that would work, if I'm honest. I've got some and more big grooves on this piece as well. There's just grooves on this whole piece. And like I said, I just thought this would be a really good one to show you how to work through those sections. Because when I first started doing this and I had to do a piece like this, it was quite daunting. Can this transfer be ordered? Connie, yes indeed. There's links in the description to find a retailer. I've got a feeling you might need to find it from a retailer. I think if you go on my link, I've got a feeling it might be sold out on the site that we have our links hosted on. So if you're not already friendly with a retailer, just pop your details in on that link to find a retailer and someone should be able to help you. I'm just checking. Yeah, we've got everything. Good, good, good. I like Tuesdays, where I've moved my slot later. I don't have to do the school run anymore, just on Tuesdays. Connie, yes, in the USA, follow that link. So there's 3 links. If you go for the one that says find a retailer, there's loads and loads of retailers, and you can put in your area. There's also a section, I think, that's got online retailers. Roz, am I right there? So you just need to find something that suits you best. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, because I'm just sort of off camera here, or round the corner. Off the corner, off the camera, round the corner. I'm just wrapping it slightly. Make sure all your edges are, as you lift your paper, make sure that your edges are stuck down nice and well. And you know, like points of leaves can be where things aren't quite adhered very well, so you just need to check all those points as you go along. Actually gone quite nicely, and actually where on the odd place where it's cracked, it kind of adds to that you know, autumn where the leaves are starting to crack. It feels like it suits it. You know, leaves are getting dry and brittle, and I think it lends itself quite well on this transfer to not being a super perfect clean finish. get in the way of the camera and go down this edge. We wrap round. Curves are my nemesis. I had a piece, well over a month ago now, and it was curved, and oh, it gave me a hard time. It really gave me a hard time. Donna, thank you. It's not stuck there. There we go. Oh, the drone's gone back up again. I can hear it again. Like I said, I'm trying not to get my arm in the way of what I'm doing. So can you just about see where I've wrapped it round there? You can. I think you can both just see what I've wrapped round. Yes. Okay, so that's that section done. Just going to run my cloth out. No, it's not. I'm telling a lie. I've got these little extra pieces. So the bit that we've done now was off of the main sheet, and we needed to add some extras on. So I've got, there's a little curly bit there. There's this piece round there, and there's a couple of little extra leaves. Let me turn you that way slightly and you that way slightly so you can see. So I'm just going to work on this leg down here. So it really is tiny pieces just to finish off those leaves so they don't look like we've forgotten about them. And about there. So I've cut this off of another section of the transfer that I wasn't going to be using for this project. So there we go. Look, you can just see that we finished that leaf section off there, and then another little piece here. So it's one of these seed pods. Why, thank you. Do I use a towel for the halo? Esther, yes, I tend to use, these are like those microfiber cloths. This one's a bit grubby because it was the first one to hand. But yes, I do tend to, just because as long as they're nice and, you know, clean and dry, I just find that they are easy to smooth over with. Okay, so I'm just adding that last seed pod on to finish off there. Okay. Ordinarily I would have a cleaner one than this. Okay, I'm just going to move a bit of adhesive is lifted there, so I'm just going to remove that with my fingernail. And then we'll go up here and do these top sections. Let's just move you a little bit. So we're just going to finish, there's some curly bits there. Are you talking about this transfer being very pretty in person? I agree. I've just realised I've got to cut that. So this was I forgot to cut this. So this is here. I'm going to cut along. So I'm going to cut along this line here, which is where the join would be, so that I can see where I need to cut with my knife when it's placed. So I'm holding it down. It's a tiny piece to do actually, and I'm just going to go across. Can you see? I'm trying to not get in the way. There we go. So now we have two pieces. Because if I stuck it to here and then tried to do that piece, it would have not been lined up. Same if I'd have stuck it to that piece and tried to do this piece, that wouldn't have lined up either. So it needs to be separated the same way as the main part of the transfer did. It goes on so many colours as well. This, I've done it on navy. It looks nice on black. I've seen it look beautiful on kind of vintage creamy type colours, or you know, farmhouse white type colours. Really, really versatile, this one. Okie dokes. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. And we'll just do this little squiggly piece. These little sort of vine, or yeah, they are on the vine. They look like they're on vine leaves, or maybe pumpkin patch type leaves, perhaps. And I'm going to put that there. Okay. Donna, you've used it with farmhouse white. Yeah, I think there's so many ways this looks amazing. I'm just pushing that down into all those. I've got a little air bubble there I can hear. So I'm just going to do my couple of little dots and then press that down. Oh, there we go, there's another one. It's because we've gone into a dip there and it's quite a deep one. There we go. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Okay, we're doing all right. Let's do this piece. Got there. Farmhouse white, like antique white. Yes, Amber. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to add that last piece round there as well. And then we're probably kind of there. Have I ever transferred over raw wood? Donna, yes, I've done raw wood. Obviously, you just want to make sure it's smooth. The rougher the surface, the more tricky it's going to be. A bit like this kind of surface, you know. But yes, I've done that, and then I've top coated. That works. There's lots of this would look lovely on raw wood. Lots of the transfers look beautiful on raw wood. What you don't want to do is you don't want to wax it first. You definitely don't want to really wax it first. You're not going to see masses of what I'm doing here because it's round the bend again. But I just want to get this piece on. It's in the camera. It's sort of on camera there, isn't it? Sort of. Oops, that was close. And the other thing is, I always say on my lives, it's much easier to lay your piece flat because then you're not working against gravity as well. So that's why I've done it for this piece, because I quite often say that's the easiest thing to do, but I'm not doing it for the purposes of live, but I thought I would do it today. I have to say, it really does make it so much easier. There we go. You're thinking the drawer size of a dresser. Ooh, lovely. Yes, I agree. That would look lush. Right. And then when you open your door, sorry, it's not going to rub anywhere because we've cut it. It's not going to rip anywhere because we've cut that piece. I'm just making sure that all those edges are nicely rubbed down. And into that one There we go, I just need to get my nail. There we go. Lovely. Okay, so thanks for joining me today. I hope this has been helpful in showing you how to tackle these grooves and inset panels. And it's a way, like I said, it's a way you can measure, but this is a way that works nicely for me to use a really sharp craft knife and cut it into sections as I go along. Yeah, okay, thanks for joining me. Like I said, I'm Nikki from Gracie's House. I'm UK based. Happy said this channel is interested in handicraft. Oh, okay, right. Let's just see. Thank you, Charlie. Brilliant. So I will see you this time again next week. Thank you. It's a gorgeous project. Thank you very much. Lovely. See you next week, guys. Bye.